Hello and welcome to Modern Skills in English. Today, we're talking about a feeling most students know very well. It's not the stress of studying, it's the stress that happens when you stop. That strange, constant feeling that even when you are taking a break, you should be doing something else.
I know this feeling perfectly. It's like a little voice in the back of my head. Yesterday, I tried to watch a film. It was supposed to be my time to relax. But for the whole 2 hours, that voice was just listing all my assignments. You have that history paper. You need to review your science notes. You didn't finish the maths homework. In the end, I didn't enjoy the film, and I didn't study either. I just felt anxious and tired. It feels impossible. How can you take a break without feeling terrible about it?
That is the perfect question. And most students believe the answer is about better time management or more self-discipline. They think, if I were more organized, I wouldn't feel this way. But that's usually not the real problem.
It's not? Because it feels like a personal failure, like I'm just lazy or bad at managing my time.
The problem isn't that you can't relax. The problem is that your brain doesn't know that work is over. You've closed your books, but you haven't closed the work application in your mind. It's still running in the background, using up all your energy.
Still running in the background. Okay, I think I understand that. So what do I do? How do I close it?
Well, let's start with a common belief. Many students think that to be a successful student, they need to be thinking about their studies all the time. Being always on feels responsible. It feels like what a serious person would do.
Yes, exactly. If I completely forget about my exams for a whole evening, it feels like I don't care enough. It feels irresponsible.
And that feeling of irresponsibility, that constant pressure you put on yourself, that's a powerful form of productivity guilt.
Productivity guilt. That's the perfect name for it. It really is a feeling that I'm doing something wrong just by resting.
And it's a trap, because when your mind is always on, it never truly recharges. Imagine your phone. If you kept it at 20% battery all day, never letting it fully charge, but also never letting it die, how well would it work? It would be slow. Apps would crash. It would be unreliable.
It would be incredibly frustrating to use.
Your brain is the same. When you allow this guilt to keep your mind in a state of low-level stress, you never get back to 100%. So when you do sit down to study, you're working with a tired, slow brain. The guilt you feel about resting is actually making your work worse.
Wow. Okay, I never thought of it like that. I always assumed more hours thinking about work meant better results. You're saying it's the opposite. The guilt is making me a less effective student.
It can, yes. It prevents real recovery. Which brings us to the second problem. Most students have a very vague idea of when their work ends. They just say, I'll study this afternoon, or I'll work on my essay tonight.
I do that every single day. I just work until I feel too tired to continue, or until I get distracted.
And that is the core of the issue. If you don't know where the end is, you can never truly arrive there. Your brain stays in work mode because you never gave it a clear signal that work is finished. It's like telling a friend, I'll meet you in the city. Where? When? Without a specific plan, you just wander around, feeling anxious.
So you're saying I need to schedule my breaks more carefully? I've tried that. I'll put 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. relax in my calendar, but I still feel the guilt.
This is a very common misunderstanding. The secret isn't to schedule your relaxation. The secret is to define your work.
Define my work. What's the difference?
All the difference. When you schedule a break, your focus is on the break, but your mind is still attached to the work, which feels infinite. It has no clear end. But when you define your work, you are creating a container for it. You say, I will work on my history essay from 2 p.m. until 4 p.m. Not until it's finished, not until I'm tired, until 4 p.m.
So at 4 p.m., even if I'm not finished, I just stop? That feels difficult.
It is difficult at first, but when 4 p.m. arrives, you can say to your brain, I have done what I promised to do. The work for this block of time is complete. You have fulfilled the contract. The work isn't a monster that can follow you all evening. You have put it in a box and you have closed the lid until the next scheduled time. When you define the work, the relaxation happens automatically. It's what's left over. It's the prize, not another task on your list.
A container for the work. I like that image. So the problem isn't the break. It's the work that has no clear edges. It just spills into the rest of my day.
Precisely. And that leads to the third turning point in our thinking. We need to reconsider the purpose of rest. Most of us think rest is simply not working.
Yes, it's passive. It's what you do when you've run out of energy.
But what if rest wasn't passive? What if it was an active process? Think about it this way. What is the purpose of a break? It's not just to pass the time. The true purpose of a break is to restore your ability to focus.
Restore my focus. So it has a job to do.
Yes, and some activities are much better at this job than others. Let's say you have a 30-minute break. You could spend it scrolling through social media. That's not working, right? But how do you feel after 30 minutes of that?
Honestly, usually more tired. My brain feels foggy, and I've probably seen something that makes me feel anxious or angry.
Exactly. It didn't restore you. Now, what if you spent those 30 minutes listening to a few of your favorite songs with your eyes closed, or going for a short walk outside without your phone, or chatting with a family member about their day?
I would feel calmer, clearer, actually rested.
That is the difference between empty rest and restorative rest. The goal is not to stop doing things. The goal is to start doing something that genuinely fills your energy back up. You need to choose an activity that will restore your mind, not just distract it.
Okay, this is making a lot of sense. Define the work, don't just schedule the break, and make sure the break actually restores my energy. But I have to be honest. If I have a huge exam in 2 days, my mind is not going to just switch off at 4 p.m. The pressure is too high. The worry is real. It feels irresponsible to just put that in a box. What do I do then?
That is a very important question. This isn't about pretending the pressure doesn't exist. It's about managing it so it doesn't destroy you. The solution here is to create a strong mental boundary.
A boundary? Like a wall in my mind?
Exactly like that. It's a rule you make with yourself. When your defined work time is over, you perform a small action that signals the crossing of that boundary. It could be as simple as closing your laptop, tidying your desk, and saying out loud, "Work is done for now." Then you physically leave the room for a few minutes.
A little ritual.
Yes, it's a signal to your brain. It says, the part of the day where we worry about the exam is over. We are now in the part of the day where we recharge so we can face the exam tomorrow. It's not about ignoring the exam. It's about making a clear, conscious choice to shift from one mode to another. The actions help make the mental boundary real.
So if a thought about the exam pops into my head while I'm trying to relax,
You can gently say to yourself, "Thank you for the reminder, brain, but we are on the other side of the boundary now. We will deal with that tomorrow at 9 a.m. You don't fight the thought. You just acknowledge it and guide it back to its proper time and place. This is what we mean when we talk about making your rest intentional.
intentional, not accidental, not just what happens when I'm too tired to work. It's a planned part of the process.
Exactly. Let's put it all together. The feeling of guilt comes from the belief that you should always be working, but this leads to burnout. The solution is to create a system. First, you define your work periods with a clear start and end. Second, you create a mental boundary between work and rest, maybe with a small ritual. And third, you make your rest intentional, choosing activities that truly restore your energy, not just distract you.
So it's not about fighting the feeling of guilt. It's about creating a system where the guilt doesn't have a reason to show up in the first place. I've defined the work, I've done it, and now I'm on the other side of the boundary. This new time has a different purpose, an intentional purpose, to restore my energy. So relaxing is part of the work.
You've got it. Rest isn't the opposite of work. It's the partner of work. One cannot be effective for long without the other. An intentional rest period is one of the most productive things a student can do.
I need to really think about this. The idea that choosing to restore my energy is a productive act, that changes things. The guilt comes from feeling like I'm wasting time. But if the time has a purpose, to restore, then it's not wasted at all.
Not at all. You're making an investment in the quality of your future focus. You wouldn't feel guilt about putting fuel in a car before a long journey, would you?
No, of course not. You need the fuel for the journey. I see now. My brakes are my fuel. And I've been trying to run a long journey on an empty tank, feeling guilty for stopping at the petrol station.
And now you have a map to find it.
It feels lighter. Just thinking about it. The goal isn't to stop caring about my studies. It's to start caring about my energy too, so I can actually do better work when I return. It feels like permission.
Hello to everyone listening. We hope this conversation was helpful for you. If there's another student challenge you're thinking about, or a feeling you can't quite describe, please let us know in the comments below. We read all of them.